Hold on.
What?
Our day is not over just yet.
Woohoo! USA! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for July 15th, 2025. We are in the middle of an All-Star Game watch party, so I'll be updating you about what's going on in the All-Star Game throughout the show, and I will break in, I guess, whenever a Padre is up to bat or a Padre is pitching, because you still got Fernando Tatis Jr. on the bench, Manny Machado. He will go down in history as the first guy. I guess this is an official MLB game, the All-Star game. I'm pretty sure it's an official MLB game, but he'll go down as the first guy to have a call overturned on the automated balls and strike system. Now, I don't know how the umpire missed it. The only thing I can really think of, because it was a strike, and it was a pretty apparent strike, even for me at home, but the only thing I can think of is that Manny hit a foul ball off of the umpire's face, and it hit his mask, and it did the whole jostling of the mask, and then I could just think that maybe he was seeing stars. And I'm not saying that to be a jokester. I think that he might have been seeing stars. But the pitch happened. It was called a ball. And then, so Manny was, he was 0-2 before the pitch. Pitch happened. He went to 1-2. Cal Raleigh immediately tapped his helmet. They went to the automated balls and strike system. Within 20 seconds, they showed that it was a strike, and Manny struck out on the automated balls and strike system. So that is a trivia question right there. A trivia question, and also a good indication of how this is going to work. And it was quick. It was quick. But if you only get 2 challenges and you are going to have to use those wisely throughout the game. I don't think that players are going to use them wisely. I read about Paul Skeen saying that pitchers should not be allowed to challenge a pitch because pitchers always think their ball is a strike. So he said, maybe don't let us do it. But I've said this a million times. I'm going to say it a million more times. I'm really fascinated to see how this all goes down and how the strategy plays out, because you know that in the heat of the moment, some of these guys are going to want to challenge and they're going to have to hold back. Like, I have to think that at least in the first part of the season, when the automated balls and strikes system is in place, I have to think that they're going to give certain players the ability to do it. Like on the Padres, I would give Manny Machado the opportunity to challenge, because only 3 people could challenge: pitcher, catcher, hitter. Manager can't even challenge. I guess the manager could give a look or give a little signal of like, yeah, you should challenge that, but they have to do it quickly. It's going to be interesting, but it worked out not for Manny, but it worked out in the application of it. And I'm fine with the automated balls and strike system going in. Just a second, I'm going to tell you, because we didn't get to this during the Gwen and Chris show, but I want to tell you what Joe Torre said about the automated balls and strike system. It has a Padres twist. Dominic is saying, still flying high from your fantabulous win today. If you missed it, go back to 340. I played some Chris's Fantabulous Sports Game Show against Padres Diehard, a loyal listener, and he took it down to the end. I took it down to the end, and I ended up taking the title, and I will rub it in Tony's face when he gets back in the next time that we play. All right, back to the automated balls and strike system. So Joe Torre was the manager of the Yankees in 1998 when the Padres took him on in the World Series. And so Joe Torre has been really instrumental in bringing the automated balls and strike system to Major League Baseball, but he was even more instrumental in bringing expanded video review to the game in 2014. And he says that he likes it. He favors the system. He says that the technology is just so good that and they have it that they should use because it will make the game more clean, I guess. Is like there's no controversies over a strike in a ball that ends a game or ends a playoff game. There's going to be a way for recourse to happen, and so it will end up. I know that the human element of the umpire is something that I agree with, because sometimes umpires are just not going to have a great day, or they're going to call a strike a ball or a ball a strike, and it's going to anger everyone. But I really do think that in those major situations, in those important situations like a playoff game, that this is going to be something that I think is going to be good. And I think that it's going to be something that we all are going to learn to love. It's kind of like the pitch clock, I guess. I never really had an issue with the pitch clock, but I know a lot of people did. And now that the pitch clock is in, no one really complains about the pitch clock. And yeah, so. Carrie says, "Hi, Skraby, you're the best." Thank you, Carrie. Oscar, what's up? J-Max says, "Always saving the good stories from the Gwen and Chris show." Hey, I brought this up on the show. Chris said he wanted to talk about it later, and then we didn't do it. But anyway, back to Joe Torre. And Joe Torre said that his Yankees teams benefited at least twice from blown calls in the postseason, including one involving the strike zone. And that one incident was in the 1998 World Series, and it was tied, bases loaded with 2 outs in the 7th inning. I'm sure many Padre fans remember this. Tino Martinez took a 2-2 pitch from San Diego's Mark Langston that appeared to be a strike, but was called a ball by Richie Garcia. Martinez then hit a grand slam on the next pitch for a 9-5 lead, and the Yankees went on to a 4-game sweep. So you got to think that if the automated balls and strike system was available back then it would be huge. I mean, it would have changed maybe not changed the outcome of the game, but it definitely would have changed the outcome of the at bat. And so there's some human element by Richie Garcia right there that I know that these umpires don't want to get stuff like that wrong. And I have talked to Mike Winters, who is sometimes at Petco Park during Padres games, and he said he's fine with the automated balls and strike system because he does want to get it right. But you got to think, I mean, revisionist history, but you got to think that the game may have turned a little bit different if that ball was called a strike, and instead Tino Martinez got another opportunity, didn't miss the pitch, hit a grand slam, put the Yankees up 9-5. So yeah, that is unfortunate, but I think it's hilarious that Joe Torre, who is someone who brought the automated balls and strike system into baseball, brings up something that happened in the 1998 World Series as a reason as to why they should have the automated balls and strikes system. All right, let's talk about, and I will update. Oh, Jason Adam. I forgot to say this. Jason Adam came in the game after Clayton Kershaw got 2 outs. And Chris and I were kind of talking about this at the end of the show between ourselves. But Jason Adam got 1 out, and I'm fine with it. Like, he's already been used so many times this year that 1 out is fine. He got his All-Star game credit, and he struck out Ryan O'Hearn. So good outing for Jason Adam in his 1 outing. They still got Adrian Morejon, still got Robert Suarez, still have Fernando Tatis Jr. to play. So if I'm on the air when those guys come in the game, you will hear about it. But so far, Manny and Jason Adam, the only 2 that have played so far. But yeah, again, I'm okay with the 1 out for Jason Adam. He needs to save his arm as much as possible for the foreseeable future so that he can pitch way deep into the season. All right, let's throughout the show, we're going to talk about many different things. And we're going to talk about something that the president would like to do with the game of soccer. And I feel like it's a little confusing. We're also going to talk about Scotty Scheffler and what he said in the media availability at the Open Championship about being successful in golf and being one of the better golfers in the world and being one of the best golfers, if not the best golfer in the last, 5 years or 4 years, because he's won a lot of tournaments over the past 3 or 4 years. And it was interesting for me to read this from Scotty Scheffler just because I don't know how those guys think, and his thoughts and feelings totally make sense to me, and I wanted to share it with everyone. But first, I want to pose this question, and then we'll go to break and we'll answer it on the other side. But I keep getting DMs, and I keep having people reach out to me telling me that the Padres should sell at the trade deadline. And I really, really don't know why. Like, outside of, I don't even call trading Dylan Cease a sell if they did trade Dylan Cease. I don't think that's the Padres selling. Now, depending on who else is in a deal and all that, maybe it's a sale. But Dylan Cease, if he does get included into a trade, I think that is more of it's more of what the Padres had to do to make whatever that made the trade. So I don't think that's selling. I just think that's necessity for the Padres in this hypothetical trade to put Dylan Cease in it. Now, if they trade Dylan Cease and Michael King, okay, maybe we're having a sale conversation. But I don't think they're going to sell. I don't think that they're even close to selling. So I'm just going to talk about, when we get back here on the Skraby Show, I'm going to talk a little bit more about why do people want to sell at this trade deadline for the Padres. I don't get it, but we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get back here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
At Ralph's, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix.
Matt Skraby back with you here in Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. The All-Star game is being played right now. The National League is up 2-0 after they got a couple runs off of Tarek Skubal in the first inning. Can't remember who knocked in those runs now that I'm thinking about it. Oh, Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte knocked in those runs. He went opposite field down into the corner, and he got Ohtani home, and he also got Ronald Acuna Jr. to score all the way from first base. So National League up. If you're just tuning in, Manny Machado struck out in his at-bat earlier. They're coming up on the next National League hitter after this half inning because they just went to break, but I don't think Manny Machado is going to be in the game anymore. So we'll see if that. Oh, Manny is in the game still. Okay, maybe he will get one more at bat. Jason Adam already came in and got his one out. So we're still waiting on Morejon. We're still waiting on Suarez. We're still waiting on Fernando Tatis Jr. But when I went to break, I said I wanted to talk about why I keep getting messages. Oh, and Fernando is in the game, everybody. This is how tonight's going to go. If I see something on the TV that's Padres related, I'm just going to randomly yell it out. But Fernando's in right field right now. I get messages from people, and sometimes, at AA meetings or wherever I meet people, they want to ask the question, or they want to make a declaration. The Padres should sell at this trade deadline. And I always ask the same question. Why? Why do you think the Padres should sell at this deadline? And the answer usually is, well, they need to make sure that they're built for the next couple of years. And my answer to that, my response to that is, no, the window is now. You got to figure out next year. They still have a chance in this season. And right now they're in second place in the division at 52-44. They are only 5.5 games behind the Dodgers. They currently have a wild card spot, although it's a slim lead. It's a half-game lead over the Giants, but they still are. The season ended today. The Padres are in the playoffs. I don't understand this sell now thing. I really don't. Like, why would you want to sell? The goal is to win a championship. And I've been told that if the Padres win a championship, fans do not care what happens with the team for the next couple of years. And I can agree with that because it would be the first championship for the Padres. And it would be the first major sport championship for San Diego. So I really do question why some people want the Padres to sell. Why are we looking to next year already? I don't understand why. It's not something that I'm even entertaining or considering. And again, if they have to trade someone like a Dylan Cease, if they have to trade him, it's because they're getting someone back that's going to help the team. I don't think Dylan Cease is getting traded. I don't think Michael King is getting traded. Obviously, Michael King has not pitched in a little bit, so I think that's part of the reason. And he's supposed to be back in August. But I don't think that the Padres are looking to trade a major league ready player right now. And they're already rotation short a little bit. And they still have a long season to go. And you're going to need Dylan Cease. You're absolutely going to need him down the stretch. Now, people might say, well, he hasn't been that great anyway. And okay, he has, he's 3-9 on the year. It's been a tough year for him. And I'm not even going to go into the underlying numbers conversation, which is usually where some people go, where, well, his underlying numbers are good, so he's getting unlucky. That might be true. But in the end, it's wins and losses, and he's 3-9, and he has put the team in a tough spot multiple times this year. And so I don't see him being traded, but I still think that he's valuable for the Padres down the stretch. I don't want to see Dylan Cease in a trade. If you're trying to trade, the Padres are going to have to trade. I hesitate to say that they would trade any major league ready player or a player already on the team, but you might have to do that. And it's not going to be one of the big names, I don't think. If you're going to trade, it's going to be from the minor league system. And I know that the minor league system is a little bare right now because of all the trades that they made at the end of last year. But last year should be kind of a blueprint for this year. You go into the trade deadline, you bolster up your bullpen, you get players that are going to help this team down the stretch, and you're going to be able to hopefully win some games in the playoffs. Like I'm fully ready for the playoffs this year. I'm not ready for a trade that sets the team up for the playoffs next year. Like, this is the year. This is the window. I'll bring up the 49ers, for example. 49ers have been really good at building their teams over the years. They have not won a Super Bowl, and they have gone to a couple Super Bowls, and they've lost to the Chiefs twice in those Super Bowls in the last 5-6 years. And the 49ers window may be closed. And I know that fans have told me that, listeners have told me that to try to get me a little angry. And it does work because I kind of sort of believe it. And that's why it works. Because you have to go for it when you can. Because if the 49ers come off of a 6-11 year like they did last year, and they go and they have another losing season, the window's closed. Like, I can't say that the window is completely closed right now for the 49ers, and I'm using them as an example because all of a sudden you could have a great team 2 years ago that go to the Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden it's just over and the window has been closed, and now you're trying to rebuild. So when a Padre fan, if you're a Padre fan who wants to sell at the trade deadline, think about how long it's taken to get this team built up to where it is now. They have their core under control, but you want to be able to take advantage of it now, because like I said, the window could close real quick. And then when that window closes, you as a fan are feeling like, wow, okay, our chance is over. And that's not a good feeling. I know a lot of people don't want to trade or don't want to sell at the trade deadline. I know that. But there are some out there that think that trading or selling at the trade deadline is something that the Padres should be doing. Now, I say all of that to say, at the same time, if a deal's right and you need to get rid of a big league player, but you're going to improve your team in the process, then go for it. But I don't see a sale being made here by the Padres at the trade deadline. Trade deadline is 16 days away. So we're going to have a lot of information coming out shortly in the next couple weeks about this, maybe in the next week. And we talked about it last night. Dennis Lin said that there could be a different looking team by the time they get back July 28th to Petco Park. Manny Machado is up to bat, so he is going to get a second at bat in the bottom of the fourth inning. Joe Ryan is pitching for the American League right now, Minnesota Twins. So Manny just fouled off the first pitch into the stands. I won't be doing play-by-play, but I will be watching to see what happens here. And we all know Manny Machado struck out on the ABS system call earlier in first guy really to be on the bad side of an automated balls and strike call, but it was the correct call. It was a strike and not a ball. So Manny's still up there, 1-2, no outs, bottom of the fourth. I didn't see where Fernando came in the game or what part of the order Fernando was in the game. So let me go and look at that real quick. I told you this is going to be an all-star watch party. Oh, Manny Machado strikes out again. That's unfortunate. I wanted to see Manny do some good things, but I'd rather him strike out here in this game than a real game. I'm clicking on the MLB Game Day right now, and let's see. Fernando, okay. He came in, duh. What a dummy I am sometimes. He came in the game for Ronald Acuna Jr. because, he plays right field. And so he's in the 2 spot, and he is going to be up here in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 batters. So we'll keep you apprised of that situation. I've I'm okay with the All-Star game. I like it. It's just not what it is. It's just not like I thought it was better when, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but I thought it was better when the winner of the All-Star game, whichever league, got home field advantage in the World Series, because then it was actually something that you played for. And I like having something to play for in games like this, because the Major League Baseball All-Star game is the only game left of this type of style that care about. Get started on Jacob Mizorowski again, because I've already done that. But All-Star game, NL up 2-0 over the American League right now. And I will keep breaking in as soon as we have things that we need to talk about. All right. When we get back, gonna get into some random stuff. Daily Gripe also at the end of the show near 7 p.m. But I want to talk about what our president Donald Trump wants to do with one of our sports. And I think it might be a little confusing. So we'll talk about that when we get back here at 97.3 The Fan. The Skraby Show. You can watch us on YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan, or at The Skraby Show. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at Matt Skraby. Back shortly.
Ben and
If you would like to watch the show, you can on YouTube. Just search 97.3 The Fan or at The Skraby Show. We have one more segment to go here. We're going to be talking about a lot. I'm going to try to fit in a lot here, but I want to start with something kind of serious. And that would be when I really like, I give Major League Baseball a hard time for trying things and always, in my opinion, missing the mark on it. But one of the things that I love about the All-Star game is the stand up to cancer part of the game, where everybody in the stadium is standing and they have a sign and they have someone that has been affected by cancer. And so they, a lot of people put dad, mom, uncle, or things like that. And I'm going to be serious because I know I give Dave Roberts a hard time, but Dave Roberts did on his sign, he put Scott Miller that, he passed away a few weeks ago, and he was a writer here in San Diego and nationally. And Scott Miller was a big part of this station. And so I have to give Dave Roberts a little bit of respect for that. I have to give him respect for putting Scott Miller's name on the board. And I also want to say Bryce Miller as well, because we lost Bryce Miller earlier in the year, and it was due to cancer, unfortunately. I actually had, if I ever had one of these cards, I would put my Aunt Teresa on there, because when I was in college, when I was growing up in the Bay Area, before we moved down here, my aunt and my uncle lived a couple houses down, which was actually really cool. So I got really close with my Aunt Teresa, and she kind of became, my second mom. Whenever I needed something and my mom wasn't around, I would go to her and she would take care of me and all of that. And she died of ovarian cancer in her 40s. And that was very hard on all of our family, because she was a huge part of it. And, unfortunately left behind 3 kids and my uncle. So cancer affects everyone, and cancer is one of those really unfortunate parts of life. And it stinks. It really does. But thank you to Dave Roberts for putting Scott Miller on there. And anybody who's been affected by cancer, I know and I hope I said that correctly, that they beat cancer, but I know that they're doing better. So appreciate you for still listening. But yeah, so there you go. What else? Oh, yes. I said before the break, I wanted to talk about something President Trump might be doing that is maybe possibly a little confusing. And I think it was more of a joke and kind of said in passing, but during the FIFA Club World Cup match final a couple days ago, he told streaming channel DAZN TV that he was considering issuing an executive order to change the name of the sport in the U.S. from soccer to football, as it is called around the rest of the world. And I mean, I don't really care either way, but I will say this. I will say that it would be very confusing if we changed a sport from soccer to football, and then we have 2 footballs. Like, what are we talking about now? Are we talking about the NFL? Are we talking about the MLS? Like, what are we talking about now? So I hope that it doesn't change for that reason, because I do think it would be very confusing for all of us if we were to change the name of soccer to football, because now we have 2 footballs. But I think this was said more of a joke. I'm not sure, honestly, but he did laugh when he said it. So I think that would be kind of indicating that it would be a joke. I mean, he did change the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. So I think it's not outside the realm of possibility. I just hope that he doesn't, because then we would be confused. And yes, we're confused Americans, I guess, or at least I'm a confused American. But if we had 2 footballs, it would be too difficult for me to figure out, because I have a small brain, I guess. Middle of the 5th inning for the All-Star game. 2-0 still the lead, National League leading. And I want to go into what Scotty Scheffler said at his media availability at the Open Championship. And it's a very long clip, so I'm not going to play the entire thing, but he talked about how winning sometimes is not as fulfilling as you think it is. And I'll let him do more of the talking than me.
I think it's kind of funny. I think, I think I said something after the Byron this year about like, it feels like you work your whole life to celebrate winning a tournament for like a few minutes. It only lasts a few minutes, that kind of euphoric feeling. And I like to win the Byron Nelson Championship at home. I literally worked my entire life to become good at golf, to have an opportunity to win that tournament. And you win it, you celebrate, get to hug my family, my sister's there. It's such an amazing moment. And then it's like, okay, now what are we going to eat for dinner? Life goes on. Is it great to be able to win tournaments and to accomplish the things I have in the game of golf? Yeah. I mean, it brings tears to my eyes just to think about, because it's literally worked my entire life to become good at this sport, and to have that kind of sense of accomplishment, I think is a pretty cool feeling. To get to live out your dreams is very special. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not out here to inspire the next generation of golfers. I'm not here to inspire somebody else to be the best player in the world, because what's the point? This is not a fulfilling life. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from a sense of like the deepest, places of your heart. There's a lot of people that make it to what they thought was going to fulfill them in life, and then you get there and all of a sudden you get to number one in the world, and then they're like, what's the point? And I really do believe that, because what is the point? You're like, why do I want to win this tournament so bad? That's something that I wrestle with on a daily basis. It's like showing up at the Masters every year. It's like, why do I want to win this golf tournament so badly? Why do I want to win the Open Championship so badly? I don't know, because if I win, it's going to be awesome for about 2 minutes. And then we're going to get to the next week and it's going to be like, hey, you won 2 majors this year. How important is it for you to win the FedEx Cup playoffs? And it's just like, we're back here again, So we really do. We work so hard for such little.
And he goes on for a little bit more, and he says, I love playing this game for a living, but does it fill the deepest desires of my heart? Absolutely not. And I want to, I don't want to say he's wrong for saying this, because I do like when athletes open up like this and give us kind of a look into their head. And I like talking about psychology and thinking about the psychology of things, but I don't think he's wrong. I think that we all have stuff in our life that we've worked towards, and we get to that point and you're like, okay, now what? Like, I've gotten here. Okay, now what? And I think that we've all felt like that. And I think that he's right, because when you accomplish your goals, you really are kind of, in a way, not lost, but it's like, okay, well, do I want to start a new goal, or do I just keep doing this one? Well, I want something more, so I guess I should start a new goal. It actually makes me feel better to know, honestly, that an athlete at the highest level can feel this way, because you think, okay, he wins the Masters. It's one in golf, that is the Super Bowl, and you win it. You feel great, as he said, for 2 minutes, and then you just move on. And it's kind of like, okay, now what do I do? I've already won the Masters. And I think possibly Rory McIlroy might feel some sort of something similar to this, because Rory McIlroy needed the Masters win to get the career Grand Slam, and he won the Masters, and he has the career Grand Slam, and then it's like, now what? And of course, I've never been a guy who has made $1 million playing in a 4-day event. It's really easy for me to say that he's right here, it would be really easy for me to say that he shouldn't have said this, but I'm not, because I like that he let us in a little bit, and it made me realize what makes Scotty Scheffler tick. And it's kind of an interesting thing that Scotty Scheffler said, just because you never hear the guys at the top of the sport feeling like this. You never hear the guys at the top of their sport saying, now what? And for him, like for me, I guess my next goal would to be having a longer show, or my own time slot type of thing. And so when I get there, now what? What's my next goal? I still have more goals. So I'm not at the top yet. I'm not at the top of the game yet. Scotty Scheffler is. And I would think that would be a pretty I guess the word I'm looking for is sobering. It would be a sobering moment. Like, I have worked my entire life to win the Masters, and now I've won the Masters. Now what? That phrase is now what? Like, that gets me, because I've not felt that before, but I've definitely gotten to points where, like, okay, I am now on the radio. Now what? Well, for me, there's more goals. It was get your own show, have it right here. You're listening to it. And so Scotty Scheffler saying this is a good thing. And it helps people to be a little bit more vulnerable. I need people to be more vulnerable. And it tells me that Scotty Scheffler really doesn't care what anybody thinks about him, which is a good thing, because everybody's going to say things that is not, they're going to say things that people don't agree with, and they're going to crush you for it. But he said it, and I think he's spot on in certain ways. Again, I can't put myself in that position of being a world-class golfer or athlete, but I can put that in my own, position that I'm in right now. Like, I have different goals. So I wanted to bring that up just because I thought it was so refreshing that someone was talking like this. And you hear athletes say it sometimes, but like, what do athletes do when their careers are over? They ask themselves the question, now what? And I would find that to be very hard, because these guys have done nothing. We'll just take baseball, for example. These guys have done nothing but play baseball for their entire lives. And then they get to the end. Maybe they won a World Series. Maybe they won an MVP, et cetera, et cetera. But then it's just gone. And it's a fleeting moment. So I think that that's a part of sports we don't really think about. I think that's a part of sports that we don't ever give enough credit to, which is these guys are just, I mean, of course, they're fine. They're fine. They have enough money, all of that, but they have to find that new purpose in life. And it's got to be a little bit difficult for some of those guys. All right, let's go to our next story. Actually, you know what? I promised some San Diego FC news this week, so I wanted to bring up some SDFC news. And the first the news story that I want to bring up is that forward Milan Ilaski, who's local to San Diego, returns to FC Nordjylland. I know I pronounced that incorrectly, but it was a mutual loan termination. So he is headed back to his former club, a sister club of SDFC in the Danish Superliga, but he is not going to be with the team anymore. He joined SDFC on loan from Right to Dream on April 2nd, making his SDFC debut, replacing Alex Mighton in the 78th minute. He actually made 10 appearances with SDFC, 3 starts. He registered 10 goals during that time. So he had a goal. He averaged a goal a game, and he scored, I believe, 4 goals in one game, which is pretty impressive, I got to say. But here's the thing that I'm not like MLS. I'm still trying to get myself into the MLS lifestyle. And here's what I don't understand about MLS. Why do they have these loan things? Like, I understand that some of the players are leaving SDFC to go play in other tournaments, but here's what I don't understand. If you're going to try and build like the game, the MLS brand is what I'm trying to say. If you're trying to build the MLS brand, is there a way that they can tell these players that they can't go and play elsewhere? They have to stay with their team, because I would think, like, if say the NFL, if for 4 weeks during the season, star players were leaving their teams, and then they would just be replaced with other players that we don't really know, and then you can find a Milan Ilaski. But I don't think that would help the NFL whatsoever. So they have to figure out some sort of way to get their best players on the field all the time. And I know that there's probably some soccer/football fans out there that are like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about right now. And hey, I am honest with you. I am not well versed on the soccer world, but to me, as an American sports fan, this is kind of strange that they loan people and then they have to go back to their other teams. And this is another reason I think the MLS season is too long. Why not shorten the season and then have or just have breaks in general instead of just carrying on with the season? Why not just have a couple breaks so that guys can go and play for their separate clubs or their countries? I think that is a feasible. You don't want your best players missing a bunch of games because people are going to the games to see the best players. And again, I'm not well versed on soccer/football, but that's what comes to mind when I see that Milan Iloski is going back to the Danish Superliga. If he's so good, why does he not stay here? Because I guess, SCFC wants great players, right? Why don't they work out something so he could stay here? And maybe the Danish Superliga is a better league for him. I have no idea. But I did find that a little strange. And that's my foray into SDFC news. I will try and get some more SDFC news as the week goes along. All right. We have made it to the end of the show. Here is what's next.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
And I got to earlier because I really wanted to get some opinion on this, and we could carry this over to tomorrow if people would like. But I was at the Padres game on Sunday. I parked in the tailgate lot. And when I was leaving the tailgate lot, it was kind of a free-for-all. And I understand that sometimes it's going to be difficult to leave parking lots. That's not my issue whatsoever. My issue is, are there lanes for leaving a parking lot? Because as I was leaving, other cars were leaving. I was in line to get out. I was in the line that was directly feeding into the exit. So I felt like, hey, I'm doing good. But all of a sudden, all these other cars from all these other places started driving through parking spots and around parked cars so that they could try to force their way in. And it just caused this massive traffic jam. And no one wants to give up their spot because they're trying to get out. And I personally, yes, it's a me problem on this one. I personally don't want people to win. I don't want them to win that they got to cheat and get out of line and cut the line. That is not okay with me. But this woman, she was so incredibly angry at me, and she was cutting off everyone else. So it wasn't just me, but I was at the front. Her car was kind of behind me a little bit. So I had more of the I guess, right of way, but she drove up next to my car, nearly hitting it, trying to get in front of me because she needed to get out of that thing so bad. But she turns to me and she honks at me like, "You're the problem, sir." And I honked at her, and she gave me the one finger salute. And then I just started laughing because at that point I'm like, okay, this person is way crazier than I am right now. So I'm going to let her get out of this parking lot. But my daily gripe is, why do people have to just do whatever they want? We live in a society, people. There is an exit lane. Why does no one get that you have to be in the exit lane? It's like waiting in line at, say, Disneyland. It drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely insane. And then for the person to be mad at me, and they were trying to drive their minivan with their children in it. So that's not good. All right, that's it for me. Talk to you all tomorrow. Thanks for listening.